Hey guys, I'm Janet on occasion, and today we are playing another Total War Warhammer 2 Battle Replay. This was a community cast sent in by UniverseBear probably about a month ago. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I've been very bad at getting the community cast done lately, so hopefully this will start to remedy it. I'm going through my backlog in a big way and getting all the replays done. Or at least, you know, a heck of a lot of them. So, here you can see he's against the Beastmen, and he has a front line of Savage Orcs. Savage Orcs are fantastic for killing all of the low-tier Beastmen infantry, but against anything armoured, they're not so good. But he does have some good armour piercing with the Black Orcs and the Crimson Killers. You don't see the Crimson Killers a lot, but I think this is a matchup where they can get a lot of work done. Because, frankly, there's not a lot of very good armour piercing ranged or magic that you can just nuke them with, which is always a problem, honestly. They're always the best target for cannon or anything, because they're so deadly once they get to melee, but otherwise, yeah, they'll just kill everything. So I think it's great to see the Crimson Killers for once, because you never see them. So anyway, also he has some Trolls for some extra armor piercing, so that'll help all of these guys. No Rusty Arrows though, so he doesn't have the extra sort of armor sundering thing in the back, which would be pretty useful if there's an armored front line. Shoot at something with the Rusty Arrows, and the Savage Orcs could get some work done. But it's very thematic. He does have Wurrzag here, so it's always good. So Wurrzag, of course, is an absolute nightmare to deal with. He's got the War, obviously, Effigy to Git, he's got Here We Go, Fists of Gork, he's got Brainburster as well, so a load of good spells at his disposal. And he also has the Bonewood Staff, so every time he uses one of those spells, especially the cheaper ones, you can get great value out of, because it keeps giving everyone map-wide a brilliant attack buff, so it's really good. Also, he has some Savage Orc Biggins on the back, some anti-large, but also they hit so hard they can deal with any of the low-tier infantry really well anyway, so it's pretty cool. And also, he does have a couple of Goblin Archers, so he can put some missile pressure on things. In the back, he has some Goblins, and he has some Night Goblins helping to defend the back line. But he's not going to dedicate a huge amount of resource to that, because it's only a couple of Goblin Archers. It's nothing too expensive. So, it's not too bad. He doesn't need, you know, loaded, like, nasty Skulkers or something to defend that back line well. It's fine just having a few Goblins poised there. So, especially one with Stalk, you know, like the Night Goblins. He's still going to be able to ambush the odd thing. So he's also got a couple of Goblin Big Bosses. Both of them are on Spiders, so we're going to have Poison. They're very maneuverable, and very useful to have, especially as a Goon Squad with Wurrzag. It's very commendable. I love it. So, now, this is where things get a bit iffy. There's a lot of armor in this front line. It's 4 Bestigor herds, and he has the Blackhorns Ravagers, which, yeah, they don't have the armor, but they're good units all the same. But yeah, a lot of armor in the front line, so that's where the Savage Orc front line is going to suffer a bit. Also, he has some spears in the back, including the Destroys the Drakwild, which have poison attacks, which is very cool. He also has Morga, so Chaos Spawn can keep getting summoned, and of course Chaos Spawn are very good at dealing with things like Savage Orcs, because they can do a lot of damage, but of course Savage Orcs can do a lot of damage too against lightly armoured things, so they kind of counter each other, but still, it's pretty good to have some Chaos Spawn. Also, he has a Brave Shaman of the Wild, and here it looks like he has Viletide, I believe, and yeah, Viletide and Devolve, so both of the AoE ones, he'll be able to do a lot of damage if anything blobs up. Also, right in the back, he has some Harpies, probably to shut down Rusty Arrows and the like. And he also has some Chaos Warhounds with poison, and some Centaurs with great weapons, so he's got some good armor piercing here. In fact, he has a ton of armor piercing across the board. So we're going to speed things up and see what happens. So you can see the Trolls are making a beeline for the Bestigor herd, and the Savage Orc Biggins are coming in too. So heavy hitting AP and just heavy hitting generally. It'll do a lot of damage to this Bestigor herd. Now with War procced, those Bestigors are in a lot of trouble. But across the line, up until War was being procced, these Bestigors have got a much better charge off on the Savage Orcs. But they are a lot cheaper, the Savage Orcs. So with War here, they're actually really paying for themselves. It is definitely cost effective. Even if they do lose that front line eventually, it is cost effective. So here, the Trolls, you know, with spears on them now, they're kind of struggling. And now with the Poison Warhounds coming in from the rear, Trolls just don't have the leadership, so they will break very quickly under this kind of surround, which is very dangerous. So Hounds have managed to get into these Night Goblins, and now the Archers are going to try and deal some damage to these Centaurs. But here you can see the Crimson Killers are moved in, but a rear charge from Centaurs with great weapons is going to hurt. They have a lot of armor piercing, good charge bonus, and attacking in the rear is going to just always, you know, negate a load of the melee defense. So suddenly, Crimson Killers are in a lot of trouble, which is a real pity. It's nice to see them perform, but the Beastmen player saw them as a big threat and came in to deal with them. So, but Greenskins aren't out yet. I mean, the front line has buckled quite a lot. A load of the Bestigors are getting in the back. All the Harpies are pinning everything down, so nothing can really retreat. And here we see a Brainburster, which seems an odd position for it. There weren't really any enemies there. I don't know if that was a misclick. I'd have to assume so. This would have been a great target for it, because these are lightly armoured. Or over here would have been fantastic, because Brainburster wouldn't have done too much damage to the Crimson Killers, because it doesn't really get through armour very well. And they have 115 armour. So using Brain Burster here would have done a load of damage to these Centaurs with great weapons that you really want to shut down, as well as it destroys the Drak Wall. So Brain Burster here would have actually been very cost effective, I think. But it does proc the Bonewood Staff, so everything is getting an attack buff right now. So here you can see one Goblin Big Boss is under a lot of pressure from the Chaos Spawn and the Centaurs, so that is a real pity. The other Goblin Big Boss is the only thing still fighting in this mix, so that's also pretty tough. Wurrzag here with some Goblins is trying to fight Bestigor. That's not ideal, but Wurrzag does have good armor piercing, so he can still hit pretty hard. He can do a lot of damage to Bestigor, but they can do a lot in kind. Over on this side, though, this unit of Bestigor herd has been kind of overwhelmed here. You know, the Savage Orc Biggins and the Savage Orcs fighting. Yeah, that's enough to do it. Although, again, Brain Burster, yeah, I don't know if he's clicking the wrong spell there or something, because he kept using it on top of his own men, it seemed. Maybe he was trying to buff things and he clicked the wrong spell. I'm not sure, because he does start using Here We Go a lot. And we're about to see Here We Go on Goblins, and that's going to put their melee attack up to 77. And all that has to get over is 25 melee defense to Bestigor. So suddenly these Goblins are going to be doing a lot of work. And Wurrzag's able to come in and help break those Chaos Warhounds. So, Goblins in the back, absolute MVPs. Unfortunately though, these Black Orcs have been routed. There's still plenty of Centaurs running around. And, yeah, things aren't looking particularly great for the Greenskins right now. But here, this was quite clever. Effigy to Git, not used to sort of pin down a Elite Lord and get a load of damage in. No, just used to pin down something that is going to be a nuisance cycle charging. So, it's great. Get rid of the maneuverability by stopping it dead in its tracks. And that is able to completely decimate that unit of Centaurs, and that was a big help. So, that's able to kind of get his act together over here. So, we're going to see here a Fist of Gork. It's going to put their stats up a heck of a lot. And with the Bonewood Staff and a War proccing, that's 113 melee attack for these units. So they're going to come in and just hit everything incredibly successfully. So all this stuff is going to break very fast. But I think the War was a bit premature, because as you can see, a lot of the army isn't in combat right now. So you are kind of wasting it if you use it when you don't have, you know, the maximum amount of units in combat. So here, I probably would have got these guys to move up here. Move these guys up, maybe try and single out that Ungor Spearman herd and leave these guys. They're very slow. Obviously he's got the Centaurs and things running around, but you can tackle them if they try and stop you fairly well. But he is going for these piecemeal engagements, which could prove very costly. So at the back you can see some Centaurs with great weapons. They're going to be coming back in. Harpies are coming back in. So another ton of spells being used here, including Devolve. So that's going to do a fair bit of damage to the Greenskins here. But you know, they do have some pretty good combat stats with the Bonewood Staff having procced, so they're able to win this engagement. So Wurrzag being an absolute trooper. Over here, I'm pretty sure an Here We Go was used. That's right, so suddenly 85 melee attack. The Bonewood Staff had it higher, but that wears off quicker than Here We Go does. So Here We Go being really crucial here to let these Night Goblins and these Savage Orc Biggins register more hits. And with their good melee, with their good weapon strength, they can do good damage. So they're trying to get through these units. But more units are coming in constantly, and they don't have the leadership really to hold out against constant rear charges, so this isn't necessarily the best thing for them. Over here though you can see some Savage Orcs have managed to catch some of these Centaurs out a bit, but the Centaurs now on the move. At this point, double back. Get these guys to double back, get the Goblin Big Boss out of there, and just regroup. You want to regroup, definitely, because things like Here We Go, if you can cast that on your entire army, that's brilliant, and you don't have to worry about blobbing up anymore, because there's no Brace Shaman. The Brace Shaman is shattered, there's no AoE spells, so regroup. It is always good to regroup if, you know, you've got these horrible piecemeal sort of engagements, and they have the maneuverability advantage, because at any time these Centaurs can run in, charge these guys, and then just run back, charge some guys over here, charge over here, charge over here, keep getting those charge bonuses, keep knocking things over and getting out before you can get hit. You don't want that to be happening. You want that to be one engagement they're stuck in, like here. So this would have been great. Again, this is a bit premature to use Effigy to Git here. Let them almost get the charge in, use Effigy to Git, and then countercharge with something to wipe them out. Because right now, Effigy to Git doesn't do a lot of damage against big units like this. It's better at single model damage. But that pinning is great. All it did was delay them. It didn't really capitalise. There was nothing to capitalise on that. So it was kind of a waste. So there's a few moments here where things are being wasted slightly, which is a pity. But here we can see another Here We Go. It is ridiculous how much magic Wurrzag has used in this fight. It's absolutely insane. But Wurrzag is getting some great work done. All of his units are together now, so that is something. They have managed to get here eventually. But you can see more Spearmen are coming in. The Centaurs finally been dealt with. They just can't stay in combat that long. And now, Morga is under a lot of pressure. But this is a bit of a pity. These Savage Orcs are routing and they're the ones with Here We Go. So suddenly these guys all lose the benefit of Here We Go. But at that point, it's kind of too late for the Beastmen anyway. Morga has taken too much damage and everything shatters due to army losses. So, Pyrrhic victory. This was a cool one. This was an interesting one. It looked really bad for the Greenskins, honestly. It looked really bad, because this is not a great build for countering a lot of armor, but just with all those melee attack buffs, it didn't matter, because he had such hard-hitting units, that even if, 50% of that is negated by armor, the other 50% is still a lot of damage, and if you're hitting every time, then yeah, it's going to add up very quickly, and that's what we saw here. So, very cool, and nice thematic build, I think, with all the Savage Orcs here, with Wurrzag. It was very good fun. But yeah, pretty fantastic fight. Oh my god, these Savage Orc Biggins. They did a fine job. It's just because they hit so hard. There were so many lightly armoured units that they could just tear through them. It was really impressive. So, that was really cool to see. Excuse me. Sorry, my throat's a bit dry today. Anyway, yeah, just great play there. There were some mistakes, definitely. Some things that could have been capitalized on that weren't. But at the end of the day, with all of those buffs, it's just very difficult for the Beastmen to weather that. It was very difficult and I think, didn't quite get enough use out of the Centaurs. I think you want to be charging more, so a bit more micro. That's the tough thing with Beastmen. You get more value the more work you put in, and it can often be tough to manage all of that. It's definitely difficult. So yeah, the more charging you can get, the better. Charge in, knock stuff flat, do a load of damage, and then get out of there and attack something else. You want to keep doing that, and you can maximize the damage. I mean, I say that, it's still 111 kills for the Centaurs, but it could have been more. It could have been more, because there was just not a lot of mass in this army to really stop them at all. That's why Effigy to Git was such a great thing to be using on the Centaurs, rather than other units like Morga, who's just going to regenerate through the damage. So wipe out everything else that's going to cause a problem, such as the Centaurs. And I thought that was just beautiful use of it, but slightly mistimed in a few occasions, I think. So, these mistakes happen. But hopefully this is a learning learning experience for everybody. So, yeah, definitely a lot of fun. So, guys, if you enjoyed this, please do comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.